live Antwood Movie Mania, and we are live because it is interview time with my special guest today. For every 23rd spring for 23 days, it gets to eat. Antwood Movie Mania would like to give a warm welcome from Jeepers Creepers to Travis Schiffner.
Hey.
Yeah, I know we just talking a minute ago, but I just want to I always like to thank every guest that I've got on here because it always means the world to me. Like I say this all the time, but it really does. That you're taking your time out of your day to reminisce and tell me everything about your career, your time on the film, and everything. So I just want to say a big thank you for coming on.
Of course, and vice versa, man. Like we were talking earlier, it's always amazing to me that people still have such an appreciation for the movie. Something that happened 23, 24 years ago for me, like people that still watch it and I still get reached out to. And it's, I don't know, it feels really good to me that people still enjoy, Jeepers, like after all these years. And I think, I don't even know, what are they on, 5 or 4 or 5, but like the fact that people still enjoy it and I still get emails and they're like, oh my God, it was like your performance was amazing. I really identified with your character. Like to me, that like means the world. So these things are probably just as cool for me as they are for, people that really still enjoy the movie.
Do you know what? Right, I feel like I've just missed a big trick there because if I'd done this last year with you, it would have been 23 years.
I know, yeah, yeah.
I've just I don't know how I've just realised that now.
I've seen Jonathan, the guy that played the Creeper. I've seen, he's on my Instagram reel, and I talk to him on occasion, and I've seen him like really last year, like pick up steam as far as interviews and Comic Cons and all that stuff. So I knew we were close to that time frame. But yeah, I mean, 23 years is a long time. So you really look back and like when you originally asked me, you're like, do you want me to put like this picture? And I'm like, I mean, you can. I look very different than I did when I was 28. But, I don't know if anybody's going to identify after the fact that like, who's the older guy? Like, that can't be the same dude, man.
All right, so my first question of the day is, how's your day going so far?
Good, man. Like everything's actually going really well. I don't know, like we haven't talked, but I changed careers after I gave it a year and a half in Hollywood after I booked Jeepers, because I had gotten a really good agent and a really good manager. And like I gave it a good solid year. My daughter was born 2 weeks after the movie wrapped. And so my wife at the time really wanted, to do she's like, I want to buy a house. I want to settle down in Los Angeles. That's close to impossible unless you're a millionaire. So I'd given it like a year and a half. And, like with everybody even trying to talk me out of quitting the industry, my manager, I had come really close to booking a movie called Into the Blue with, I think was Jessica Alba and Paul Walker. Yeah, I had like 6 auditions for that movie, to play Paul Walker's best friend, the cocky, kind of arrogant dude. And it got to the point where like anybody that's been, in Hollywood, like 6 auditions is kind of unheard of. And I remember getting the phone call. I was in my manager's office and I got the phone call and he's like, I don't even remember who the director was, but he said, I really fought for you. I really felt like you would have done a better job than Scott Kahn, who ended up getting it. But, then again, you're running against somebody who has a name, who was in, Gone in 60 Seconds and Varsity Blues and all these other things. So I understood, but that kind of was the last moment that I was like, you know what, maybe it's time to take another look at life and, do something a little bit different. So I ended up moving to Texas after that and getting back into emergency medical services. Being a paramedic is what I did before the whole movie thing. So that's what I've been doing since. So
yeah, so like before we get into all of that, like after Jeepers, take us like right the way back.
mm-hmm.
So like when you were growing up, like did you know like, did you know you wanted to be an actor, or did you have another career in mind, like before being a paramedic?
No, that's what's kind of interesting is I wasn't at all like me and my mom's thing. Like me and my mom are really close, and one of our things that we always did was we always went to the theater to watch films, like whether it was once a week, once every 2 weeks. Like one of my favorite experiences in this life is going to a theater and watching, a movie with my mom in the presence of other people. And I think it was this like really magical experience that I shared with her. And I never thought about acting. Like I was always kind of a center of attention person, like a cut up in class and all of that. But I never thought about that. And like I'd never taken acting classes. I'd never done theater. And my mom called me, and I was just about to take my paramedic exam, and that or I had already taken it. It was really in that same timeline. And she said, "Hey, there's this like uh thing in the paper I want you to look at," like when newspapers were a thing. So I was like, "Mom, I don't really have time." And she's like, "Just look at me. Trust me. Just look at this thing." So I looked at it, and it was for a stand-in for Jean-Claude Van Damme for the movie Universal Soldier: The Return. And at the time, like I was the exact same measurements as Van Damme, minus maybe like half an inch on height. And I had done like martial arts my entire life. And I was like, oh, this kind of fits. So anyway, I ended up getting booking this like stand-in thing for Jean-Claude Van Damme, which I didn't even know what that was. I thought like, why would Jean-Claude Van Damme need a movie double? That dude has like 9 6-packs, like, but it's obviously not the same thing. And so I ended up booking this movie and coming to Texas, irony, in Waxahachie, Texas. We filmed for 3 months. And then I got like a little taste of like what it would be like to be in the industry. And me and a friend that I met on the movie set, like we went all in. I was like, I'm moving. You know what? Screw it, dude. We're moving to LA as soon as we get done. And we wrapped the movie. And I remember I drove back to my house in Louisiana, packed everything I owned into a 95 Ford Ranger, drove to Los Angeles, and basically started there. So I didn't have like this crazy experience of, you know, I want to be an actor. Like that's everything I've ever dreamed of. It just was like literally kind of spur of the moment thing. And I went to LA not knowing anything and was lost for at least a couple of years.
So you said there that you were a stand-in for Van Damme. So like, what does that mean? Like, are you just like a headshot, like from like looking from behind on camera, or?
Yeah, so I didn't know what a stand-in was. So basically, so if me and you were doing a scene now, like say it was in a living room somewhere, like you come in, they block it. So they're like, "Oh, I want you to cross at this
Yeah.
point from here to here." You say your line here, and so then we go through the whole scene. We do it a couple times, and then the actor goes back to their trailer to relax while the guy that kind of looks like them stands in while they light the whole thing, because it may take 2.5, 3 hours to light it. And
Mm.
so I didn't realize that it's a matter of like skin tone, size. So I had no idea, but like then you're in the midst, like you're involved with all of it because you're seeing like how they light the scenes, how the actors do it, like everything that's involved, you're front and center for all of it. So it was kind of like an amazing experience being interjected into this major motion picture at the time. And being able to see like, oh, this is like how it works. I had no idea that it took 9 hours to shoot, this one little scene between these two actors because they have to do a wide shot and they have to do over my shoulder and over their shoulder. And like, I just had no idea. And so I got that experience from that, which was incredible.
So are you actually in like quite a few shots of the film?
I'm in a couple shots. I guess the majority of like stand-in work is
You just
you're not
like,
really in the movie. You're standing in for him when he's
yeah.
not in the movie, I guess. But I've also done a tremendous amount of extra work. I was in that was one of the things when I moved to Los Angeles that, you're hustling trying to make money other than waiting tables at some restaurant. I did a lot of extra work. So I was, involved in a lot of films even though you can see me, like there's a movie, oh my gosh, what's the name of that movie? Like Not Another Teen Movie. How
You're
was
in
that
that?
movie?
What, you're an extra in that?
Yeah. I'll have to
Oh,
send you a list. There's a tremendous amount, but
you
the
know
one
what? I
that
love
comes
that
to
film.
mind was Almost Famous. Do you remember the movie Almost
Oh,
Famous?
with Kate Hudson, yeah.
Yeah. So I was an extra on that, and there's no way to fake. I had this like '70s afro and these like chops, and so like I had done enough extra work that I felt like I knew the ins and outs. So what I would do was I had done it enough that I didn't really feel like I needed to go to set. And so I could like hide amongst the crew if I was dressed the same way. But in that situation, I couldn't because like I had this afro and all this stuff. And there's a scene in the movie where Billy Crudup comes, like he's celebrating going back to his hometown, and he goes back. And the big scene is where he's at the pool and he's like, "I'm a golden god." That was the big scene. But before that, if you look at when he comes into the house, like I'm on the couch, like taking a bong rip off this massive bong. It's crazy. But yeah, there's a couple movies where I'm seen in like the background that actors think like, oh, I don't want to get known as being a background worker. I enjoyed it so much. It was so much fun, like and so incredible. Like I think it's very important for actors to get um that experience of seeing like how it all works and how minimal things like literally standing on this piece of tape so that you're in focus and finding your light makes a big difference.
With not another teen movie. Like, where did you film? Was it like at the parties or was it in the school?
Most of that stuff was all in Los Angeles. Jeepers was a little bit different um, in that it was filmed in mainly the entrance into the San Joaquin Valley, which is in Los Angeles,
All right.
was outside of Los Angeles, and then in a basically giant airplane hangar in Orange County.
Oh, I know because like some of the shots that they do, like in another teen movie, I mean, pretty much like most of like all school films at that time were like Torrance High School,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
902 and everything like that. And like, but I'm a massive Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, so like as soon as I recognise, I mean, I would love to visit there because I'd love to go sightseeing because I'm a massive Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. So I'd
yeah,
love to go like sightseeing the graveyard, like the school. I mean, they've just started doing well. They've done it for a couple of years now, but they're doing like a Buffy Hellmouth con like in the school, so like the
yeah,
fans
yeah.
can like go around and sight it. I mean, obviously, I'd never be able to afford that because it's in LA. So,
I know LA's so ridiculous.
so it's a bit of a. I mean, my wife's not a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan at all, so it would be impossible unless I became a millionaire and just went on my own. It'd be impossible.
Do the rounds. Yeah, I want to say they did the for Not Another Teen movie because the girl that Serena Vincent, who plays in Not Another Teen movie, she plays the foreign exchange student that never has her clothes on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. Like I became good friends with her before all of that. I had met her through her boyfriend, and I actually had the same manager as her. So I would go to her because she was like a step ahead of me career wise. And I was like, I don't know, like, what should I do about this? And it was like a sheer accident that I was on set doing extra work for Not Another Teen movie in one of those big crowd scenes, which I think was at UCLA. It was just so bizarre because at some point you've got like 500 extras, and they were like, "Hey, we need to polish it down to 12 extras to sit around her while she has no clothes on." And they asked for volunteers, and I was like, I can't see her that way. I love her to death, but that's not like no, it's not gonna happen." So it's kind of funny. Like hindsight being 20, it is really a small community though. Like it seems like this giant thing, but like at the end of the day, like you do run into the same people, see the same,
Mm.
directors and prop masters and all that stuff. But yeah,
When you mentioned about Universal Soldier, did you ever get to meet Van Damme while
did
you
I
were
ever
there?
get what?
Did you ever get to meet Van Damme while you were there?
Oh
Like,
yeah. Oh my God, we hung out all the time. it was kind
Really?
of funny because it was him and Bill Goldberg at the time, which was this huge wrestling star.
Mm.
And like we had so like I felt like Van Damme he's very charismatic. He felt very plugged in as far as the movie. I know he's not known for being like Academy Award winning, but like I really felt like he was really trying in those, like he had an acting coach on scene, like he had a martial arts director, but like we hung out all the time. And I remember I got in trouble because at that point, Bill Goldberg was really big into wrestling and he had just got back from some WrestleMania thing and he was trying to get that's when UFC had just started, the Ultimate Fighting Championship or whatever. And he was really trying to get them to do like overhead camera stuff so that they could um pull in like doing arm locks and all this stuff like ground oriented. And me and him and oh my gosh, what's the director for Universal Soldier was the second unit director for all these major stunt films like Braveheart, like huge
Jerry,
famous guy. Yeah.
Jerry Bruckheimer, Jake Bruckheimer.
Now, God, what's his name?
I have no
I don't
idea.
remember. He was actually Mel Gibson's stunt double in Braveheart, and we were comparing like he had all these injuries, like he had all these scars, like all over his shoulders, like he'd broken so many bones. And we were talking about Braveheart, and then we had somehow gotten the mix of talking about mixed martial arts, and because I'm a martial artist, like me, Goldberg, Van Damme, and the director all end up like basically on the ground doing like wrestling moves, showing each other stuff. And I remember the lady that did the costume design, she got so mad at me and she pulled me aside and she's like, Travis, you're the only one I can yell at about this. You realize you have $900 worth of clothes on and you're rolling around on the ground. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I really didn't think about it, honestly. Like when Bill Goldberg asked you to demonstrate a move, I mean, I don't, like I think I still have a picture of him holding me above his head with like one hand. Like just
Oh,
tremendous experience. Yeah. Like it's amazing.
oh my god. Like, were you a fan of Van Damme at all? Like, did you like his movies?
Yeah, I did. I mean, they were what they were. It's like 80s, 90s action star.
Oh my
Like,
god.
yeah, I mean, the only one that I can think of that, oh my gosh, he did a prison movie.
Death Warrant.
Yes. And I talked to him about apparently the director is an Asian. He's like, the director was like, it didn't matter what you did, it wasn't enough. And he pushed him like really hard. And he was so proud of that movie. And I remember watching that movie and I was like, yeah, it's like a different realm for him. Like it
Mm.
wasn't just about martial arts. It was like he really kind of dug a little deeper for that movie because you never think of Van Damme as being like this amazing actor. He had this like, he was charismatic and he was a great martial artist. So he kind of put these things together. But I remember like, I was like, wow, that's actually really good. Like for,
Mm.
you know what I mean? So I was always a fan. Like I always thought Van Damme was awesome. And I didn't experience like any negative, like he wasn't
Yeah.
a dick. You know what I mean? Like he was really cool when I was on set and stuff. So
I know, I'm a massive Van Damme fan. Like,
oh, that's cool.
I love Bloodsport, Cyborg,
Oh yeah.
Time Cop, kickboxing. Weirdly enough, right, kickboxer. Next Sunday, I actually have an interview with the mercenary, who's called Winston in the film, who
Oh,
helps him
really?
out. So I have an interview with him next Sunday.
Oh, that's freaking awesome. Wow.
So I
Small
can't
world.
talk about kickboxer and everything like
Yeah.
that. So I'm looking forward. I'll tell you what. I'll actually recommend a film for you, a Van Damme film that he made. It's called In Hell, where he goes to some foreign prison.
That's the one I was
Where
talking about. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
oh,
It's
that
in
one.
hell. Yeah, if
Ah,
you watch the outtakes for the director, I think he's Vietnamese. I don't know. It's like this little small Asian guy. And he's so mean to him in one of the outtakes. And that's why Van Damme said he's like, I didn't get along with him, but he pushed me. Because there's that scene where like they fight and he bites the guy's face.
oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
it was that was a pretty dark movie for Van Damme. Like as far as there was like categories that you wouldn't think normal Van Damme movies like prison rape and things like that, where they tackled. I'm like, wow, dude, that was a really good movie as far as like something that you wouldn't normally see him in.
Yeah.
It's not just about him doing sidekicks and being cool. Like, oh wow, that's dark.
Mm. So, like you mentioned there, like about going to the cinema and it, like everything, like watching these movies, like when you went to Hollywood, like did anyone inspire you to like pursue the acting? Like, did any like movie celebrity?
Totally. There was and it's kind of bittersweet, the story, but there's a guy named Daniel Von Bargen, and he was he was in Universal Soldier: The Return. I think he played one of the scientists or something. He's probably best known for there was a show called Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh yeah.
He played the general, the older brother.
Oh, I know what you mean. You had the
Yeah,
whole,
yeah.
yeah.
So we were actually, it was Texas. It was in the middle of December. It was freezing cold, and we were all sitting around the space heater, and we're all just trying to like get a little bit warmer. It was freezing, and I remember me and my friend Tim had been talking about moving to LA and becoming actors, and we had gotten so much pushback from like the first AD, something Cho. I don't remember his name, but he was like, you don't want to go to LA, man. It's going to eat you alive, which he wasn't completely wrong. But I remember Daniel Von Bargen saying something in that moment of, he just said something. He said, I didn't start like really acting until I was in my like mid 40s. And he said, I would have never thought that I would be at the place that I am right now. He's like, but I feel like it's worth it. If it's something that you really want to do, you should do yourself a favor and at least try. And that carried me for a long time, like all through the ins and outs and ups and downs of Los Angeles, because it's a tough industry. Like it's a dark and tough industry, or at least it can be. And I remember thinking back of those times where it's like, what am I doing? Like, this is crazy. I could be back in Louisiana working as a paramedic, like have a family, but like the way he said it, it's like, what's important to you? Like, is this important enough to you to really take the deep dive, and is it worth it? And from, his, little speech that night, like I really took it as like, if it's important to you, you should try, because I mean, we live once, right? Like it's really easy to skate off and be like, oh, I could never do that, which is kind of where I was at. I was like, oh, you could, like, that's ridiculous. You're not going to go to Los Angeles. You've never taken an acting class. You're never going to do anything. But like, if you really want it, I feel like you owe it to yourself to at least try.
Yeah. So like when you got there to LA, like how hard was it to find an agent?
Oh, it was like, so when it was kind of funny because the costume designer for Jean-Claude Van Damme was this little Asian guy named Jackie Chang. And he was the same costume designer for Van Damme, Lucy Liu, and Jackie Chan. And so he had mentioned in a side conversation, I remember, because he was like, oh, I have an apartment, Travis, if you ever want to rent a room. And I didn't give him a chance to second guess that. I literally called him from the McDonald's parking lot across the street. And I said, hey, Jackie, I'm here. I'm ready to move in. And I did not give him a chance. And to this day, I'm so thankful that he didn't say, Travis, I really didn't mean that. Like, he was like, okay, cool. And so that was, so even getting into LA and finding a place and going through all that, like I was so green when I first got there. One of the things that I'll always say, like they have this saying in LA that it's like, for every overnight success, there's 10 years of hard work. I really feel like that's true. And if you don't know where to put the hard work in, like you'll be a little lost, kind of like I was. It took me about 2 years to learn the ins and outs of, oh, I need to be sending my headshots to these people. And, I need to be in acting class and all these things. Had I put the amount of work that I did my last year there, I think when I first got there, because I think it was like a 10-month or 10-year bridge, I feel like I would still be there and I would still be acting. I didn't quite put enough work in. Like I always attribute it to like one of the things. It's funny, we still see so many interviews, and you'll see interviews with actors, and all of a sudden they'll be talking with a British accent, and you're like, oh my god, I had no idea that guy was from the UK. Like that's one of the things I feel like with overseas British actors, like they take it so much more seriously. It's like they're not doing an hour of acting class a night; they're doing an hour of dialogue, or like actually speech coaching a day. Plus, there's 6 hours of scene time. Plus, and so I feel like in America, that's one of the things. Like, I had some great acting coaches, but like really taking it as seriously as I did the last year versus the first year, I think would have made a huge difference in my career trajectory.
Well, you kind of mentioned my next question there because, like, some people might think, oh, I'm going to go to LA, I'm just going to make it straight away, I'm going to get my gigs, I'm going to become a millionaire, it's going to be so easy. But like you've just said yourself there, like it is not. You've got to find an agent, you've got to send headshots, you've got to do 6 auditions, you've got to find a place to live, find a job, doing everything in the meantime. Like, it's just, for everyone out there, it just does not sound like, doesn't sound like Pretty Woman at all.
No, definitely not. But I think honestly, like, I think that's one of the things about that industry is if you like, and even to this day, like I've done a couple of short films since Jeepers Creepers, like probably been about 5 years, but I did a couple of short films just to see if I still really loved it. And I think that's what it weeds out the people that love it for acting's sake versus I love it, I want to get famous and be an influencer and blah, blah, blah. Like when it puts the pressure on you to the degree that you do have to really love it because it's hard. You're going to get so many no's and people looking at you like you're ridiculous. Like you have to really love the art. And I think if you really love the art, you'll stick it out. You'll do you'll do the off Broadway and the plays and the little bit parts and those things. Like it becomes like, I don't know, if you had a passion for, like you do, like with, like bringing people together to talk about horror films or whatever that is, like that passion, I think that's a must. And I think that if you don't have that, it quickly weeds out the people that aren't just passionate about, storytelling and acting and directing,
All right, well, let's get into Jeepers Creepers 2. So first off, like, were you a fan of the first film?
I was. I thought and I'm not a huge horror person. Like I'm not a huge horror buff, but I've always liked horror films. But I really thought the first film. In fact, I even remember auditioning for it. Looking back, because Justin Long, I thought was super talented, and I thought he did such a good job in the first film, and then he went on to do Dodgeball and all these other huge films. But I thought it was I always thought about like, okay, that's like a B-rate horror film, but really at the end of the day, like when you look at those films that are really good horror based films like The Ring and those type of films, like they hold water regardless of whether they're horror films or not. So I was a fan. Like I thought Jeepers was a very good film.
So how did you hear about them making a sequel? Like, who reached out to you? Did you reach out to them? Like, how did you get the audition?
Yeah, no, it's funny because like the first casting director that I ever met when I went to Los Angeles, I was waiting tables at a restaurant, and everybody in Los Angeles they're either a writer or a director or an actor. Like that's the given. Like so of course if you're waiting tables, you're an actor. Like that's just the given. And this I'm trying to think of his name. Oh my gosh, I feel bad. I can't think of his name. Anyway, he was one of, we talked for a few minutes. He's like, oh, do you act? And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm here trying to do. I had been there like, I think 3 months, 4 months. And he was like, oh, I'm a casting director. You should give me a call. He gave me his card. And I started emailing him headshots occasionally. And then fast forward all these years later, like randomly, I would just send out like this group of headshots to the people that I had met over the years and, casting directors and agents. And And I got a call back from him, and he said, "Oh, hey, are you cool to read for this film called Jeepers Creepers 2?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, totally. Like I remember the first one; it was really good." He's like, "Yeah, we want to have you read for Scotty, which was the bully."
Mm.
And I was like, "Okay." And so I prepared for that. I feel like the question was going to go a different avenue, but like that's how it started.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine. So, like, did you get called back for another audition, or did you get that role that you weren't meant to go for straight away?
Yeah. So no, I had the audition for Scotty, and I was pretty good about like I want it always to be off book if it was possible. It's hard to do that with commercial auditions because you don't know what you're getting into.
Mm.
But with film auditions, like they send you the sides the day before. I always want to be off book. I don't want to have to be reading lines from a piece of paper. Um, and I had the audition for Scotty, and it was in front of Victor, who was the director and the casting director. And I remember specifically, I was in a kind of unique place in my career where I was willing to push the boundaries. And at the time, the kid that was, because usually you audition, you have like the director and then you have the casting director, and you have somebody that's like reading with you, like reading your offense. And the scene, I can't remember what scene it was I auditioned for Scotty, but like he was really aggressive, like and really angry at the time. And the kid that was reading off screen was like just reading. It was very flat.
Mm.
And I remember I got really annoyed. And halfway through the first take, I said, "You're not listening to me, dude." He's like, and he looked up at me and he had these wide eyes, and I'm like, "You need it." And like, I got really aggressive, and it kind of threw them into, well, you kind of have to react when somebody comes after you, kind of thing. And I finished the audition. It was pretty aggressive, but I felt pretty good about it. And then Victor said, "Hey, um, I thought you did a really good job. This part is not right for you. However, like, I want you to go out and I want you to read for the character Izzy. Can you do that and come back in?" He's like, "I feel like you have this," he called it justifiable anger. He's like, "I feel like you have this justifiable anger that doesn't marry up with what Scott represents, but I feel like it'd be really good for Izzy." So I go out and I pick up the scenes for Izzy, and I didn't know anything about the character. So when I came back in to read for Izzy, I kind of treated it a similar way because it was just two scenes. It wasn't, I didn't have like a whole script to go off of.
Mm.
And I did it the first time, and I didn't feel like Izzy was as aggressive. And then he even pushed me. He's like, "No, I want you to come at it with the same anger and like energy that you did on the first take." So I did it, and he's like, "Okay, cool." And so then I didn't hear from them for, like normal week and a half, 2 weeks. And then they called me for a callback, which they did all the callbacks at a studio somewhere. I can't remember. I do remember Victor saying that I booked almost all of you off of your first take because all of your callbacks were so awful. Which was kind of funny because we were all so nervous. I remember Billy, the kid that plays Bucky in the movie, has the glasses. Like he said he threw up in the parking lot before he had his audition. And I said I totally identified. I didn't throw up, but I was so nervous. And then you walk into this studio audition, and then now it's the director, it's the producers, it's the line. There's like 9 people sitting at this desk in front of you, and you've got one guy reading with you, and the pressure is just very different. And so that audition did not go well. I knew it didn't go well. And I called my manager after, and I was like, "Yeah, no, that's probably not going to be a thing." And then, or my agent at the time, I had a really small agent. And then, sure enough, like I guess it was 2 weeks later, they called me. I'm gonna think of his name, the casting director. He's like, "Hey, I wanted to let you know that you booked this role." And I was like, "For Jeepers?" And he's like, "Yeah." And when I tell you I was excited, like I can't imagine what I looked like in the parking lot of PF Chang's, freaking out, like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I was," like I was so excited. And then he's like, who do you want to do your deal? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, your contract. Like, and I was like, I guess my agent. I don't know anything about like, where we're going from here. But yeah, um, it was such a surreal experience actually booking something that large for the first time. Like it was just amazing. Like it's hard to describe in words the feelings that come from, oh my God, like I've been working for 8 years to get to this point. I finally actually booked something that people are going to watch, which is also terrifying in its own way. You know, it's like
the film takes place, well, pretty much mostly on that stretch of road. Where can you remember where you filmed it, like location wise?
yeah, so it was at the entrance into the San Joaquin Valley, which is like I think Northern California. Like it's not far from LA. I want to say it was like an hour and a half from LA, and it's like one of these magical places, kind of like you know, in LA, everybody's talking about Napa Valley, like the orchard, the grain vineyard, or the grape vineyards. It was like that. Like all of a sudden, you crest this hill, and there's this valley, and it's just gorgeous. It doesn't look like Southern California. Like there's large trees and all this area. And I remember the first day on set, we went to set, like we stayed at a hotel, and then they bust us into the set. And it was the scene with the barn in the beginning where the creeper first attacks the young kid.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the corn that was hand planted. Like I cannot imagine how long it took them to do that, but they literally hand planted every piece of corn into this. Like it was incredible. Like I've never seen anything like it. Like you would have thought we went to Iowa or someplace where there was actually corn. No, they hand planted every stalk of that corn for the movie. I was so blown away. And I finally was like, oh my God, I'm out of my depth. Like, this is insanity. Like, this is crazy.
Hey, do you still keep in touch with any of the cast?
Yeah, I still talk to Marie, who played Rhonda. I still talk to Eric on occasion. I still talk to Victor on a pretty regular basis. I don't know, the girl that played Minxie, it's kind of sad because she ended up passing from cancer. I had talked to her a couple times before. I knew she was sick, like she got cancer, and then she went into remission, and then she ended up getting sick again and dying. But really, Rhonda, Eric, and Victor, I think are the only ones that I've really talked to over the years, which is bad because I really like. I had such a bond with Gary Kai, the kid that played what's his name in the movie? God, I can't think of his name in the movie. And he was the guy that stood up to. He was the guy in the back of the truck when I wrecked the truck.
Right, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so like I was really close with him, and then like you end up like losing contact over the years. It's kind of sad, but yeah, really Rhonda, Scott, and Victor or Eric Nininger.
Yeah, I love that the film is set directly after number one because, like, at the beginning, you hear on the radio that they've found like this big chapel of like all the bodies, and it's still in its it's on the 20th day of the feeding frenzy that it's in the cycle. There was a cameo with Justin Long in it for like a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet him on set or?
I did, and it's kind of interesting because one of the things, you know, it's fun to know all these little backstories. But one of the things about Victor, when he wrote the movie Powder. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie.
Powder?
It was like an 80s movie. It was really good, but it's not horror based at all. And so he was so afraid that he was going to get typecast into this role of writing horror films. He wrote Jeepers, and the reason that he put 23 years in that slot was because it would be really hard for them to come back and say, hey, we want you to make another movie. And he's like, it's going to be really hard. Like, are we going to go futuristic? Are we going to go back to the 40s? Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And they offered him so much money that he was like, I'll figure out a way. We'll just do it in the same time frame. Like, which I thought was pretty genius. But
Yeah.
I met Justin Long on the day that he shot. But I also had done a reading with him for another movie that Victor was trying to get produced, and it never got produced. We did a table read, which basically just brings in a bunch of actors and you sit around this gigantic table and you read, the script. You have a part or two parts or three parts. So I met him that night, and he's so genuinely funny. Like, the movie felt very serious, but I remember like he broke it up with, even by accident, just being funny. And I had talked to him that night, and it was hilarious because he looked really thin. Like, I remember from the time that I saw him on Jeepers 2 till we did this table read, I was like, "Oh my god, dude, you lost like a lot of weight." And he's like, "Yeah, I know." He's like, I've got this new movie that I auditioned for, and they want me to lose a bunch of weight because they want me to look younger. It's called Dodgeball.
Oh,
It's so funny to think we had this conversation about a movie that was going to be so famous, and it was kind of a off the cuff, mention of a movie that he was gonna do in the future. It was bizarre, but great guy, like super cool, very funny, very warm.
say that like yeah. You just mentioned there about Victor. Like, what was he like as a director to work for?
Victor was, I think, awesome. I remember because like what a director does. Like, obviously they see the whole film as a, he wrote it, especially. So like in his head, he sees how it's going to go to a certain degree before it gets to the end stages. And there was a moment. There was two moments. One of the moments where the creeper throws the knife and buries the knife, and Scott gets trapped, and we're trying to get him off the tree. Um, I remember that night, it was late. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning. Everybody was exhausted. And they basically take this like, there's like a mount attached to the tree to the point where you're not going to get the knife out. Like, it's legitimately like strapped to the tree where there's no way you're going to get it out. And so when we first run up to the knife and he's like, pull on the knife, and we did it. I remember he's like, cut. Travis, come here a sec. And I went over there and he's like, it feels a little pretend, meaning I need you to go way more. And I remember having that moment where I was like, that could have either made me crumble as an actor because I'm like, oh my god, I'm not doing good enough, I need to do better, versus, okay, it's time, like, you're either going to do this or you're not, there's no in between. And I remember that moment, like, understanding what a director does. Like, he sees the overall picture versus what we're doing, which, what we're doing may not seem correct. And then the other experience I had was, there's a moment, which I really am kind of proud of in the movie, where we're in the field before we go to the truck. And I say, no one gets to decide we die. No one. Like, that moment. And then there's a cut to of us walking to the truck, and there's some dialogue like, I know there's a truck, like, with the bug on it or whatever it was. I don't remember the lines, but it felt like super awkward. Like, that scene felt so real. Like, we can't give up. Like, nobody gets to decide our fate right now. And
Yeah.
then go to this, like, us walking to the truck, and it felt awkward and weird. And I remember coming to him and I was like, Victor, it feels weird. Like, something feels off. And he's like, I know why. It's Travis, it's throwaway dialogue. Like, your only goal is to get them to the truck. The rest is just throwaway dialogue. Just, it's not really important what you say. You're trying to get them to the truck. And I remember that little bit of adjustment made the scene work. Like, after we were done with the scene, I was like, oh, that's what a director does. Like, he takes these little things that you may not see or don't make sense, or, maybe you were like, it felt really weird. At the end of the day, he's like, it'll marry up, it'll work. Just trust me. So yeah, I feel like he was a really good director, personally.
And with like big Hollywood films, you always hear about the stars on the film. They always take stuff from set, like not steal, but take to keep.
Mm.
Did you take anything like off, like as like a Memento.
Oh, like taking like stuff from the set.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I wish I would have. You know, I'm kind of bummed. Like Victor was really good. Like at the end of the shoot, he had bought a bunch of school buses and he wrote on the school bus like his favorite line of ours. And I can't remember the line, but there's a line where I was in the bus. It was right after Eric had said something about it was really funny because Eric's line has something to do with corrals, which, you know, is a horse entrapment. And he kept saying coral in the line. And Victor kept cutting and he's like, it's not coral, it's corral. And he's like, I don't even know what a corral is. And he's like, well, obviously you don't, because like it's kind of funny. But there's a line that I do in that snippet, and it's something about like the real bet is like, are you willing to get off this bus? That's the real bet, or something like that. And the first time we did it, he started laughing, and then I got self-conscious. I'm like, what is funny? And he's like, just do it again. So I did it again, and he's laughing hysterically, and I'm like, I don't understand. Tell me what's funny, because now I'm getting self-conscious. And he's like, you're saying it like Bruce Willis. And I'm like, well, then tell me how to say it. I don't know. And he's like, I'm not going to give you a line reading. And I'm like, I welcome a line reading. I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. And so the line ends up in the movie the same way I delivered it, which I still to this day don't understand what he was saying that I didn't. But that was apparently his favorite line of mine. So he wrote it on the school bus. And that was kind of one of those cool things. We've got also a still school film still from the movie itself, which was before they did everything digital. They actually shot it on film. But everybody told me I should take something, pair of shoes, whatever it was, and I didn't. I really wish I would have. I don't have anything that's like memorabilia wise that I wish I had.
No, it's a shame. And
Yeah, it's sad.
like honestly, I rewatched this. Like I knew this was coming up, so I rewatched it the other day, and I honestly prefer like number 2 over number 1, because that, like, to make a sequel is pretty hard thing to do, especially like when people prefer a sequel. I mean,
Yeah,
you have an amazing opening in that cornfield, like you said, and at the end, where it skips 23 years later, where he's an old man and he's sat there with a shotgun in the barn waiting for him to. It's like, oh, I'm waiting like 3 days. I mean, that's a
3 days. Yeah,
that's a great ending. Like, I mean, and I feel like a lot of people in the horror community feel that same way about like how I do. Like, they prefer the second one or the first one. For you, that must be like feel like a great thing to be a part of.
oh my God, yeah. Like, especially because I mean, you have no idea what a film's gonna do. I knew the first one had got some traction and people talked about it. And you know, of course, I was excited just because it was the first major thing that I had done, but I had no idea it was going to be as big as it was. And so like that was almost it was kind of bizarre in a way. Like we did the first part of the publicity tour um before the movie was released. And obviously, like, no one knows who any of us are, because we've never really been anything other than Eric was in Malcolm in the Middle. Like, nobody knows who we were. And we would do, like, we would get to a city like Chicago. And so we do the morning news. And then we would do like magazine interviews. And then in the afternoon, we do lunch. Um, and then right after lunch, we would do a showing of the movie at like a local theater. We do 2 of those, and then we sign autographs afterward. And it was really interesting to see like how people react to you after they've seen you on film, because like no one knows who you are. Like no one knew who I was, but like all of a sudden you become this huge icon in this person's eyes, even though they've only seen you for literally an hour and a half or maybe 15 minutes of the hour and a half on this like giant screen. And it was surreal in a way because people treat you so differently. And I had no idea like how big that was going to be, even years later, where I still get, you know, messages, you know, I'll get Facebook messages and texts. Oh my God, I loved you in Jeepers too. Like you, and it's so gratifying that it's carried weight for all of these years. And my character specifically, for whatever reason, I don't want to say what for whatever reason, like a lot of um gay males identify with Izzy's character because he always felt strong enough. Like I didn't like that was the thing. I didn't even know anything about Izzy when I started playing Izzy until later on. It's like, oh, he's getting picked on because he's homosexual. Like I didn't know any of that going into it, nor would I have thought it made a difference. Like I think the young men that came to me that were like really identified with that was because like it wasn't a crucial part of the role. It wasn't something that was it was kind of an off the cuff thing where people were like, oh my God, like here's a guy that's may or may not be, is he or isn't he? But he's strong enough not to buy into the
Mm,
bullshit, I guess.
yeah. Uh, right. So, how does it feel like now to be part of the Jeepers Creepers legacy?
It's pretty awesome, dude. I really wish I would do more. Like I had talked to Jonathan, who's out doing, he's going to the Comic Cons and the horror cons and doing all that. Like I really wish I would have gotten more involved, or I wish I was more involved with the fandom, because it's impressive to hear the amount of people, overseas, like or in Brazil or where you're at. Like it's amazing to me that it has had that such a far outreach, that people have enjoyed the movie to the degree that they still remember it. Like that's incredible to me.
Yeah. So, like, pretty much that was that was another well, pretty much my next question, really. Like personally, how we have pretty much answered it. Like, how does it feel to you that like after all these years, like the fans still want to watch the film on the screen, like when they put like revisit on the like big cinema, like they want to hear stories from like the cast members like yourself, like just to reminisce about like everything that you were involved in.
Yeah, to me it feels amazing. Like I don't know, like somebody that had been in the industry and this is their like 72nd movie or something, I could understand why they would. But like this movie specifically for me, just because it has had legs, like people have watched it for so many years. And like the thing that amazes me is that younger people have seen the movie. Like the movie came out before some of these people were born, and they've watched the movie and been amazed with the movie. Like that like makes my heart like feel so good that people have enjoyed it to the degree that they were like, oh, you're just at the right age, I'm going to show you, even though you're 13 now, I want to show you this movie. And the fact that it's held legs for that long and people still enjoy it. And I still it'll come on, especially during like Halloween, it'll come on Sci-Fi, and I get all these texts, oh my God, I'm watching you on TV right now, it's so weird. Like that feels really good though, like just that people still enjoy it. And that I watched it, I hadn't seen it for, oh my God, years and years and years. I got to the point where if I never saw it again, like because I've seen it so many times. I watched it, I think, with my partner at work for the first time. It's probably been 7 or 8 years, and there's an amount of pride, I think, that you take in that the movie did well, and that it has a good story to it, and it has some jump scares and some things. It just feels really good to be able to have been a part of something that had that big a following and that big of a you know end result, I guess, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. Finally, we are on the last question now. We've made it there. We've made it. You said yourself that you're a trained paramedic. Do you see that as like just you for the rest of your life now? Like that's your job for.
It's interesting because like when I first got to Texas, like I had a couple years where I really struggled because I don't feel like I was ready to let go of my career, and I did it, I think, for the right reasons. Like I had a wife and a kid, yeah, and I think I did it for the right reasons. But I think I was really miserable, especially the first couple years, because I gave up on something that like was my passion. That was like when I was doing the movie, my wife was pregnant. I was filming. Like to me, that was such an amazing moment because I'm like, oh, I'm doing what I love. I'm getting paid to do what I love. And I have this wife at home who's pregnant. Everything was like picture perfect. and then to give that up because it is a struggle and it is hard, and your other half may want something different. I wrestled with that for at least a good solid 2 or 3 years, where I was depressed, and I thought, man, I gave up too early, and and so this, in the last like couple years, it's probably been about 5 years ago, I did the couple of short films I did. I did it just because. So if you look at like the financial aspect, like I look at my career now, I'm a flight paramedic. I have a great career now. Like I fly on a helicopter and I get to be a paramedic and, save people's lives. And it is incredible. But I look back and I'm like, yeah, but like the thing about like the thing that I love is storytelling. I love storytelling. So I feel like there's a little piece of me that's missing in that world. So I'd done a couple of short films, 5 or 6 years ago, just to see like what is it like again? Do I still love it? Is it different? And I still loved it. I just haven't, it's hard when you get in a professional career where you work, a certain, you probably deal with it. It's like you work a certain amount of hours. Yeah, your passion may be something different, but to give everything I have now up to go chase this dream again seems a little unrealistic, but I do miss it. I'll be honest. Like there's something about, storytelling, and there's something magical about going to a theater and like forgetting about your life for 2 hours and getting roped into a place where, you forget about your own struggles and your own life. There's something so magical about that. So I don't think that will ever go away. I'd like to, get back into some theater and do some things. Like obviously if somebody came knocking, I wouldn't say no, but like it's not that kind of industry. You have to push to, be involved. But yeah, I do miss it, man. I'll be honest. Like there's just something magical about, otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation, right? There's something magical about that delay of life for 2 years, for 2 hours that you just get to be somebody else or experience somebody else.
Do you know what? With Halloween coming up in 2 months' time, you should do a Jeepers Creepers 2 live stream watch along.
Yeah, we should do that. I would do it with you if you wanted to do it. Do it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to do.
Like when it comes to like the as my partner says, like I'm such a boomer when it comes to like technology. I like AI, but the rest of it I don't really understand, which is sad.
I wouldn't have a clue what to do on this phone. Like, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I would never know how to even. I probably wouldn't even know how to upload it to YouTube, to be honest. So
yeah, I don't because like obviously I'd be like looking, talking to you, but the telly would be behind me, and I'm like, like what?
Yeah. Well, if you watch there's a making of on the DVD. I don't know, like if you can find it now, but there's a making of, and where we did a voiceover, basically tracking the whole movie. All of us were in a room, and I remember kind of feeling bad about it because I kind of like overtook everybody. I was so excited, and I had a bunch of coffee, and I kind of overtook everybody. I remember telling Victor after, I was like, I feel kind of bad because I feel like I stepped on everybody's toes, but it was kind of a cool way, kind of like this, like you get to experience like behind the scenes, like what was actually happening. Like when they did the making of Jeepers, there's a scene where Al gets his head ripped off, the wing comes down and yeah. And so they show that from like a camcorder, and it looks ridiculous. It looks so cheesy and stupid. And I remember watching it over and over. And then you watch the film version of it and you're like, how did they do that? Like they took something that was ridiculous. It looked so ridiculous from a wide shot, and you see the wing and how fake everything is, and us running in there and then sprinkling like dust over your head. It looked so stupid. And then you watch it in the film and you're like, oh my God, it's terrifying. Like that it is fun to experience it from like what happened in those moments. Like I remember telling Al, like Al is one of those guys. He played Dante. Like he's one of those people, like he's good to talk like right up into the minute until they say action. Well, I'm not like that. I have to like get in my head and like do. So I remember at one point he's talking to me, and I remember I was like, dude, it's a stop. Like I have to get in this moment before I can just run in the bus and act terrified.
well, that's it. You have answered all my questions. I want to. Well, that's it, everyone. That is the end of our live stream. I want to give a massive thank you to Travis Schiffner for coming on, talking about Jeepers Creepers 2, Universal Soldier: The Return, everything else. So a massive thank you for coming on. So thank you.
Of course, brother. Of course. No, I really enjoyed it. It's nice to be able to, like, you know, I guess dust it off, if you will, like to bring it up every once in a while and talk about, especially now that it still has like some fandom and people still enjoy it. It's nice to be able to talk about it, and like it was a great experience for me. Like it's not, it's an experience that I'll, well, I hopefully have again, but it was just a unique experience that it's nice every once in a while to get out and dust it off and talk about it, talk about all the things that happen behind the scenes. And no, it was a lot of fun for me too. So.
Oh, well, thank you very much. And that is it. That is the end of this live stream. As always, I would like to give thanks to my special guest, Travis Schiffner. As always, I am Anthony Movie Mania. Expect more live streams and interviews to come in the future. As always, I'm Anthony Movie Mania, and I will see you in the next one. See you later.
Bye, y'all.